So over the weekend, I watched the movie The Possession of Hannah Grace that came out late last year in November, and I just wanted to give my thoughts on it. Um, so the movie itself is kind of just a generic horror movie, I would say. That's kind of my spoiler. Um, After watching it, I kind of realized why went to Amazon Prime so quickly. And also, I'm glad I didn't pay money in the theaters to see this because I would have been bored out of my mind. But that's just my opinion on it. So the story itself, it follows this ex-cop played by Shay Mitchell. I think she's from Pretty Little Liars or something like that. She plays a character named Megan Reed, and she seems to be going. She seems to have some issues going on where she's taking drugs for like PTSD, stuff like that. And she gets a job at a like kind of like a security job overnight at this like mortician's place or something like that. I don't really who cares? Really, who cares? It's okay. So she gets a graveyard shift at the hospital morgue. And then one of the ambulance drivers brings over the body of Hannah Grace, and weird shit starts happening. It's pretty much what you need to know. So, this movie itself doesn't really have any big actors, I would say. Shay Mitchell was probably the most famous person in this whole cast. Also, I did recognize Stana Katic. She plays like Mitchell's she's a friend of hers, but I think she plays the position of, trying to get her straight. And she wasn't in the movie for that long. She didn't really have that much to do. I just know her from Castle, but other than that, no one else really stood out. Hannah Grace is played by Kirby Johnson. I've seen her face before, but I didn't know her name. And I mean, she was decent. She didn't really have much to do either, acting wise. She just kind of the movie starts with her, being possessed, and then these two priests are doing an exorcism on her body, and it goes wrong. And she ends up killing, I think, the main priest, or the demon, I should say, ends up killing the main priest. And then while she's trying to kill the other priest, her dad steps in and kills her. That should be the end of it. However, you soon realize that her body is actually, even though she's technically dead, the demon has possessed her body, and the demon feeds off of kind of like killing other people and taking their blood or something. I didn't quite understand if it took their blood, if it drank. I didn't really get that issue, that part of the story, but pretty much it feeds off of killing people, which begs the question as to why it didn't kill off the main character, because Shay Mitchell is kind of alone with this body for quite some time during the movie. And for some reason, every time she steps away from the body and someone else comes in, it kills that person, and it leaves her kind of like untouched. So that was, and they never really quite explained it. I didn't. If they did, I missed it. I didn't catch it at all as to why it leaves her pretty much unscathed. I mean, other than that, there's really not much to this movie. It's pretty generic. You already know what's going to happen. The body gets up, does weird stuff, kills people, kills pretty much everyone it could get its hands on except for the main character, and then the main character ends up defeating it. The dad, Hannah Grace's dad, played by Lewis Herthum. They didn't really give him a name except for Granger. I mean, he plays like the crazy dad, I guess, because he knows what's going on, and people think he's insane because, he's trying to cremate the body because he knows that the demon gets up and kills people whenever it can to grow stronger. So the one of, I mean, there are some cool things. There's some cool shots in this movie. The way the demon kills people is okay. It kind of levitates them off the ground and like breaks every bone in their body or something. It's kind of a horrible way to die, but I mean, it's effective, I guess. So yeah, the demon does that. Actually, that's kind of the way it kills people. I think it kills. I didn't really keep count. I think it kills like 4 people in this movie. The story itself is really slow. Nothing really happens after the exorcism part for a long time. It's just Shay Mitchell talking about like how she has PTSD and everyone talking to her about her PTSD and whatever. It's not that important. Another cool thing about the movie, I think, was, I mean, it wasn't badly shot. I mean, it was decent. It looked good for the budget. There's really not too much I could say that's really great about this movie. It doesn't really stand out in any way. It's very forgettable. I mean, if I didn't take notes on this movie, I would have forgotten pretty much everything about it. I would just remember that, the main character doesn't even really fight the demon. I mean, I don't know. This movie, I take that back. This movie kind of sucked. But I'm really thinking about it now and giving it more thought, this movie is pretty whack. I can't really think of anything. I would never watch this movie ever again. I'll put it that way. There's nothing in this movie that would make me watch it again. The acting is straight. It's just weird. It's not a horrible movie, but it's not something you're gonna remember. It's not gonna go down as one of the greats. It's just, what I'm thinking is that the studio had this movie for a while. They probably shot it like a couple years back. They kept it, and then they just released it, just to say that they released it because it was like on the shelf. And that's really it about this movie. I mean, I could go into more detail into it, but I really don't feel like it. I mean, it's not that great of a movie, like I said before. So if you want to check it out, I mean, you could check it out it's on Amazon Prime right now. But my personal opinion, I would pass on it. There are tons of other better movies out there, and this is just another generic demon/possession movie that Hollywood studios love to make. They make like 2 or 3 of them every year, and once you've seen one of them, or once you've seen a couple of them, you pretty much know what you're getting. But those are my thoughts, and well, thank you for listening.